All right, you guys, so we're going to finish the example from the last video. So in this problem, we've already found the vertical asymptotes. We set the denominator equal to 0, and we got 2, x equals 2, and x equals -2. So in this same problem, we're going to check to see if we have any horizontal or oblique asymptotes. So remember, you need to walk yourself through that process. So we need to look at the degrees in both the numerator and the denominator. So when we look at the numerator, the degree here is 1. All right, remember, if you don't see an exponent, it's understood to be 1. And when we look in the denominator, the degree is 2. So we have to compare. Where is the larger degree? The larger degree is in the denominator, which means we're going to have a horizontal asymptote. Okay, and it's automatically going to be at y equals 0 because the degree in the denominator is larger. Okay. Now, for the same problem, if they ask us, does it have an oblique asymptote, we're going to say none. Because remember, you can't have a horizontal and an oblique asymptote on the same graph. Okay, so we're done with example B. All right, let's move on to C. Let's change up the color. All right, so if we do C, let's see if I can fit this. So x squared over x squared plus 1. Okay, so once again, we're going to walk ourselves through that process. So we're going to see if it has any vertical asymptotes. Well, first, let's back up. So remember, before you do anything, you need to make sure that your rational is in lowest terms, which means that you've completely factored the numerator and the denominator, and you have no common factors between the two. So in our numerator here, it's just x squared, that's factored completely. And in the denominator, that's x squared plus 1, that's also factored completely. We have no common terms, so we're good to go. Now we can check for the asymptotes. So I'm going to see if it has any vertical asymptotes first. So remember, to do that, you set your denominator equal to 0 and you solve for x. So in this case, I'm going to subtract 1 from both sides. So I have x squared equals -1. That's raised to the second power, the x is. So in order to get rid of it, I'm going to square root both sides. That gives me x equals, here's the issue. Remember, you can't take the square root of a negative number. It's going to give you an imaginary number, which we don't want. So because there's no real solution, we have no vertical asymptotes. So we're going to say none, okay? Now we're going to move ourselves through the chain. So in order to determine if you have either a horizontal or an oblique asymptote, you have to look at the degrees. When we look at this problem, the degree in the numerator is 2, and the degree in the denominator is also 2. So we have a horizontal asymptote because the degrees are the same. So the asymptote is going to be at the ratio of the leading coefficients because the degrees are the same. The leading coefficient in the numerator is 1. The leading coefficient in the denominator is also 1. So we're going to divide those. 1 over 1, that gives me y equals 1. That's my horizontal asymptote. Now, because it has a horizontal asymptote, remember, it's not going to have an oblique, no hos. You're not going to have both. So we're done with C.